All right, let's talk about the fertilization president. If you are on the fence about having a baby, well, Donald Trump is going to offer you potentially $5,000 to have a baby because he is the fertilization president. That's a nickname that he's given to himself. President Fertilization. Yeah. Doesn't it have a nice ring to it? I am suddenly infertile. Wow. I have never been more infertile. Wow. I fear my ovaries have just completely dried up. So let's talk about what the fuck this is.
We've talked a lot about Project 2025 on this show. It lays out a conservative blueprint for the second Trump administration, and some of it is now reality, like getting rid of large numbers of civil servants and dismantling federal agencies. But Project 2025's main priority, restoring traditional families. And the New York Times reports the White House is now assessing ways to convince American women to have more children, including a $5,000 baby bonus and federally funded menstrual cycle classes. David Graham joins me now. He is a writer for The Atlantic and author of The Project, How Project 2025 is Reshaping America. It is just out today. Can we start with this? When they say they want to restore the natural family as the foundation of society, what does that actually mean? Because I look at this White House and you got
Also, we should be specific about what kind of children, about who's having these children. What kind of families are we talking about? Because if you're an immigrant, if you're gay, if you are poor, there are a lot of caveats here to who the pro-natalist movement thinks should be having children, thinks are the backbone of American society.
The White House press secretary, she went on maternity leave for one day. The chief of staff, Susie Wiles, is clearly a woman. Laura Trump was former head of the RNC. She's now got a Fox News show and a budding music career. You got power women.
I'm sorry, did she just say Laura Trump has a budding music career? Is she using these women as an example of like girl bosses in the White House? We're treating Laura Trump's music career as serious? Okay, hold on a sec. If you have not been introduced to Laura Trump's budding music career, oh no, that's not even her yet. Oh, she cuts in. Hold on. There we go. This is actually a great ad for autotune because anyone can sing with autotune. Maybe music isn't for everyone. Okay, this. Wait, what's the Daughter who sings Hero by Lara Trump or son who sings Water by James Charles? You don't know Water by James Charles? Or Bring Me Water?
I could tell you the thoughts in my mind, but I'm scared that I might say too much. It's too much for me.
Which one? You have to pick one. Daughter who sings Hero or son who sings Bring Me Water? Is this the whole video?
That I forgot how to sleep through the night, and I don't think I've smiled in months. I miss feeling happy. You're here when it's easy to be.
Okay, I won't subject you guys to any more. Anyway, back to what we were watching. Is he in hell? Yes, James Charles is in hell. Are you surprised? Do you think he would be anywhere else? He needs you to bring him some goddamn water. He needs you to bring him some water. Ahem. A lot of you have chosen abortion, not in Trump's America, okay? Sorry. You will be having either Lara Trump daughter or James Charles son. Can't use water in the water around him? No. He means other water. When he says bring me water, even though you might be thinking, but there's a lot of water around him. No. He means bottled water. Not any of this shit. All right. He wants that Saratoga bottled water. Why is he hanging by his pants? You know, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions to be asked here. And I think you're better off not knowing. You know, I think this is one of those, you don't need the answers to those questions. Oh, there's a poll currently. Which one? Daughter who sings Hero, son who sings Bring Me Water. Okay, so anyway, Lara Trump's budding career. She's a girl boss.
Women all over this White House. So what exactly are they talking about when they say restoring traditional American families?
I think you're right. There's a real gap between what they talk about.
Okay, what's her fucking name on MSNBC? She's so annoying. But I know this isn't the point of this news segment here, but the idea that like Caroline Leavitt, Lara Trump, these other women in the White House, that just their existence as working women is antithetical to the Trump campaign's rhetoric around childbirth, traditional families, like bringing the family back, etc. It's like, no, that's them. That's these women. They are carrying water. They are carrying the water that James Charles needs. They are carrying water for the Trump administration. Yeah, like perfectly in line with it. Are we not overpopulated as is? Why exactly are more kids needed? It's not working out of my head. Yeah, we're gonna get into talking about pro-natalists. Okay, that's who's behind this shit, and we're gonna talk specifically about Malcolm and Somine Collins. Quite possibly the worst fucking loser couple to exist. If you do not know these freaks, I'm sorry to have to be the one to show them to you. They suck. And they are the ones largely who are consulting the Trump administration on how to encourage women, American women, to have more children, on how to bring back the nuclear family. It's the creepy glasses people. Yes. It's the couple who love to dress in very severe German modernist outfits. Very much so emphasizing the German aspect of it, because they're also very into eugenics. They're the hipster Silicon Valley eugenicist couple, although recently she has taken to wearing these weird-ass bonnets. Don't know what's going on with that, but
They actually live out. But, they say they want to have fathers who are the main breadwinners with single income that can support a family. They want mothers at home taking care of children. They want to, have bonuses for for family members to provide childcare in the home. And we can guess who that might be. It's going to be mothers. It's going to be grandmothers, of course. And they want people to conform to gender roles. They want boys and girls. They don't want, anybody who identifies as LGBT. And they want everything to be based in a kind of biblical vision.
Donald Trump has repeatedly denied any ties to Project 2025. But if you look at the last 93 days, how close is his agenda to what's in the playbook?
It has been almost step for step. You can draw a straight line from what we see in these chapters to the executive orders, to the kind of things they're pursuing, civil servants, obviously. And really, those denials were always nonsense. The people who put this together served in the first Trump administration. They served in this administration. They worked on his platform committee for the 2024 campaign. It was hogwash.
Then given that,
Pure
when people say,
hogwash.
Elon Musk is the shadow president, do they have it all wrong? When it comes to a shadow president, is it Russell Vought, right? He's now head of the OMB, has huge power in the administration, and he's one of the main architects of Project 2025.
That's right. And he lays out in the plan exactly how to use the executive branch. He thought very closely about how, for example, OMB could become not so much a managerial center, but a place that forces the agencies to do exactly what the president wants.
every time if I think about having a kid, I'm just going to picture like any of the 1,000 kajillion memes of JD Vance. Like, I don't even know what JD Vance looks like anymore because there's just so many memes of his face. But I'm just gonna picture that, and it's going to make my womb dry up.
And what the president wants seems to be exactly what Project 2025 wants.
But all these people, these architects of Project 2025, I want to go back to this gap you were talking about. What do their lives look like? Because when I think about traditional American families, Donald Trump has been married 3 times. Elon Musk has 13 children, and as of last week, he's marketing for open potential wombs to procreate more. So
You'll never take my non-binary pan ass
who
alive.
are these people specifically? Because the kind of traditional families you're talking about don't seem to be the way they live their own lives.
Some of the folks who wrote these chapters do, and what they've discovered is that Donald Trump is a really good vessel. They, I think, understand that he is not a particularly serious person to do this, but that he can achieve what they want. And so they've grafted their goals onto his so that they can get the vision of the family that they want implemented.
But many of the people who voted for Donald Trump voted for him because he was a business guy and they did it for the economy.
Part of the deal,
Do
baby.
baby bonuses and federally funded menstrual classes, could this hurt Donald Trump?
Yeah, that's a really fun part of the plan here is they're going to put money into increasing education and awareness over when women are the most fertile, like when they're ovulating. So women, don't worry. Donald Trump is going to make sure that that he knows when you're ovulating. Yeah, those are words that I never want in a sentence together. Donald Trump and when I'm ovulating.
Politically, because I would guess that the core base who supports those ideas
Night, Mr.
are not the
Stockton.
overwhelming majority of Americans, and even the majority of people who voted for Trump.
I think that's right. I mean, they talk about this as a vision of liberty, but it's not a vision of liberty that I think most Americans associate with, and it doesn't feel like freedom.
I don't know, man. Between the tariffs and Donald Trump telling me when I'm ovulating, I'm feeling pretty liberated. I'm feeling pretty damn free.
It feels like a step backwards and putting people back into boxes they were in the 1950s.
So what is the end game for the authors of Project 2025?
Yeah.
Because
Okay. Do not use period apps. Don't use them. They track that shit. Like, I know it sounds crazy. I know it might sound conspiratorial, but like, do not use them.
Because when I say I look at Republican lawmakers and over the last 93 days, do they feel like they're winning?
Especially if you live in a state that is very hostile to bodily autonomy, is repressing your ability to have an abortion. Yeah, that law enforcement will use those apps and track, like, it's gross. Yeah, just use your calendar or write notes down.
And for many of them, the answer is no. But I'm guessing for the Project 2025 crew, they feel like they're winning.
That's right. They want to move things as far as they can, as quickly as they can. And they know they're going to get stopped after 100 days or after 2 years when they get to the midterms. But they're playing a very long game. They just want to move the ball forward. And they are looking, decades into the future at a federal government that will be much more restrained and focused around their goals. When Trump is gone, they're still going to be around.
Yes, here we go. There's an NPR article on it. How period tracking apps and data privacy fit into a post-Roe v. Wade climate. Privacy experts are increasingly concerned about how data collected from period tracking apps, among other applications, could potentially be used to penalize anyone seeking or considering an abortion. Millions of people use apps to help track their menstrual cycles. Flow, which bills itself as the most popular period and cycle tracking app, has amassed 43 million active users. Another app, Clue, claims 12 million monthly active users. The personal health data stored in these apps is among the most intimate types of information a person can share. And it can also be telling. The apps can show when their period stops and starts and when a pregnancy stops and starts. That has privacy experts on edge because this data, whether subpoenaed or sold to a third party, could be used to suggest that someone has had or is considering an abortion. We're very concerned in a lot of advocacy spaces about what happens when private corporations or the government can gain access to deeply sensitive data about people's lives and activities, said Lydia Brown, a policy counsel with the Privacy and Data Project at the Center for Democracy and Technology, especially when that data could put people in vulnerable and marginalized communities at risk for actual harm. It's more than just period apps. They aren't the only ways that technology can be used to connect someone to an abortion. If someone's sitting in the waiting room of a clinic that offers abortion services and is playing a game on their phone, that app might be collecting location data. Any app that is collecting sensitive information about your health or your body should be given an additional level of scrutiny. Search histories could also be identifying. Activist groups, regardless of what they're advocating for, might try to purchase a data set that would show where people have been searching for information related to abortion. That information could be used for predatory advertising, but it could also offer a way for private citizens to report another person for seeking an abortion. This could be especially risky in Texas, given the state's controversial new abortion law. Yeah, it's gross. Don't give them any more opportunities to track your very private information and use it to punish you. Get yourself a good old-fashioned calendar. If you need to track your period, do it in a way that will not potentially have your data being sold. Chad, I hate to say this, but it's time to buy the Fear Ann calendars. Yes, buy the Fear Ann calendar solely to track your period. There you go. A great way to use the Fear Ann calendar. This is, the number one period tracker on the App Store will hand over data without a warrant. Very cool. Stardust, this is from a couple years ago. An astrology-focused menstrual tracking app is one of Apple's top 3 most downloaded free apps right now. It's also one of the apps that is put in writing that it will voluntarily, without even being legally required to, comply with law enforcement if it's asked to share user data. Stardust seems to have done a decent job of jumping on this moment when everyone's screaming into the Twitter void to delete your period tracking app by marketing itself as the choice for safety-conscious people to track their cycles. No, fucking liars. Liars. All right. Julia, thank you for the 19 minutes. I mean, besides that being you, why would cops ever need that information? To punish people who have either had an abortion, trying to get an abortion, or even in states where miscarriages are being penalized, right? Like that's what it's about. It's to punish you for not giving birth. Yeah. Did you hear about this? A gacha dating game that tracks your period to make you spend money more when you're on your period? God, what the fuck? Chinese dating simulator Love and Deep Space now has a period tracker. Why do these apps and these simulators, why are they tracking our periods? Just track your period the old-fashioned way, okay? Your phone shouldn't be used for everything, all right? You do not need an app for every single thing. You don't. What the fuck? In its latest update, introduced a Remind Me feature where players can ask their virtual boyfriends to remind them of daily tasks and special events, as well as their upcoming period. Players input information about their menstrual cycle, and the game then generates its own predictive calendar and notifications. The player's in-game boyfriend will offer to pick up some sanitary products or even reach towards the screen and provide an imaginary abdomen massage. Oh my God, this...
Apply a small amount of pressure.
No.
The goal here is to warm the abdominal area,
What?
which can help alleviate some discomfort.
What the
When
fuck?
you're not on your period, you should always be mindful of how much pressure you apply to your abdomen. This helps prevent your internal organs from being damaged.
What?
Like this. Apply a small amount of pressure. The goal here is to warm the abdominal area, which can help alleviate some discomfort.
Oh my God. That felt kind of good, I'm not going to lie. I am on my period right now. You know, my abdomen does feel warm. Okay, anyway, Love and Deep Space's period reminders mirror existing period tracker apps, so they do not incorporate the usual fertility date predictions or ability to log symptoms and sexual activity. That's probably a good thing. Period tracker apps have faced scrutiny for mishandling users' data. But Love and Deep Space does state that menstruation data is only used for the prediction and reminder features that will not be shared with any parties without the player's consent. Yeah, always best to practice caution when entering any kind of personal information in platforms, apps, or video games. Wow, okay. Imagine your app boyfriend and period tracker got mad at you for logging sexual activity. They're like, listen, you cheating whore. That's disgusting. What's the name of the game so I can make sure not to download it? It's Love and Deep Space. I'm not going to lie. This simulation is more empathetic than I have ever had any boyfriend be. Like, that was nice. That was really nice. Him off, even though he said, I know you're not on your period, but it's still like, let me rub your abdomen still. The bars in hell. Like, let me just watch this again. Wait, hold on.
When you're not on your period, you should always be mindful of how much pressure you apply to your abdomen. This helps prevent your internal organs from being damaged.
Like, so thoughtful.
Like this. Apply a small amount of pressure. The goal here is to warm the abdominal area, which can help alleviate some discomfort.
music. With the music, I'm sweating. I'm sweating right now. Let's go next stream game. Yeah, what if I played it as a meme? What if it was just a joke, you know? Like, just so you guys could see how weird it is. You know? Did you even say thank you? Thank you. Thank you so much. I won't lie, I downloaded this on Valentine's Day after a breakup as a joke, and it genuinely raised my standards in men. Oh God, the bar truly is in hell. It really is. I'm not gonna lie. On the outside, I look at a game like that, I go, what the, who would even? And then you look at it for 2 seconds, you're like, you know what, actually? That's kind of nice. It was soothing. Wow. Yeah, men, the bar is so in hell. Okay, anyway. It's giving if your girlfriend bled in your bed, what would you do? And it's the post that's like, I'd put her in a warm shower. I'd draw a hot bath for her. I'd rub her feet. I'd bring her a nice glass of wine. Men really don't know anything about the menstrual cycle. Dude, in the episode, not that this is the menstrual cycle, but if you've watched The Pit, the episode of the woman giving birth, where like they are up in there. There is no hiding whatsoever. It just puts everything on display. Will tried to walk away. Like he didn't want to watch it. And I was like, you sit your fucking ass down and you watch this. And I restarted it, and he had missed because he tried to walk away. He had missed the first part, and I rewinded, and he was like, why? Why are you doing this? I'm like, because you need to watch this. You sit your ass down and you watch. I was like, I will staple your eyeballs open. That's right. Tied him down like Clockwork Orange. Yes. They literally, they had a close-up shot. Yes. It was intense. It was so intense. Who was it in the Discord who's like, I'm not watching all that? Oh, well, if you're Will Neff, you had to watch all that. There was no way that you were not going to watch all that. I was like, I said, I just want you to know that if we ever have a kid, like if I ever have to give birth to a child, you are going to know, I'm going to make you as possibly aware as I can of every element of it. Like you're going to be up in there. You are going to be up in that shit. Oh, you marathon? Oh, you watched in the Discord starting at IRL 7 a.m. Great. This entire community needs to be on the pit train. They need to be in the pit. That is this community's show. If Will's a feminist, he will carry the baby. Yeah, right. Okay, so let's talk about the motherhood medal that is also being proposed for women who have more, I think it's more than 6 children. Okay. This is a medal that was popular in Nazi Germany. That's right. You heard that correctly. The medal that they are referring to as the National Medal of Motherhood, which in Nazi Germany was called Ehrenkreuz der deutschen Mutter, otherwise known as the Cross of Honor of the German Mother. That was a Nazi prize that was given to mothers of 4 or more children. The medal took the form of a blue cross with a swastika in the center. Great! So, the New York Times has reported that the Trump administration is mulling a suite of initiatives aimed at encouraging Americans to have more babies. Some of the suggestions for these programs came from pro-natalists, a loose network of activists who believe that humanity is basically doomed unless people have more kids. In case you didn't know, Elon Musk is a pro-natalist. Elon Musk, who has a compound in Texas where he wants all of his children and his baby mamas to reside. Elon Musk, who is continuing to DM women and say, have my baby, and then ignore them after the baby is born. And then they have to try and contact him on Twitter. A few weeks back, this journalist, Kira Butler, hung out with some of these pro-natalists in Austin near their conference, which is called, naturally, NatalCon. Ooh, I wonder if there's going to be a conference in LA. No, not NatCon. No, NatalCon. NatalCon. Okay, it was on March 28th. I feel like if there's one in LA, I need to infiltrate. I need to get in. I need to go undercover. I am going to wear a pregnant belly. Why are all the pictures in black and white? Because they're freaks. I need you to understand. Pro-natalists are fucking weirdos. They're so weird. They're fucking eugenicist freaks. Like this guy, here's the list of speakers. Look at this guy, raw egg nationalist at Baby Gravy 9. Look at these freaks. Yeah, I'm going to disguise myself with a pregnant belly. And I'm gonna infiltrate the next NatalCon. The Rational Wiki gives a lot of cited evidence about how crazy this conference is. Let me see. Here's this
Tonight, this message.
Oh wait, is this the? Oh yeah, I actually have this. Perfect. I have this bookmarked. Okay. All right. This isn't loading, but there's a CNN report on which has my favorite couple, Malcolm and Somine Collins, in it. So you will be introduced to them. I just downloaded a virus. What the hell? I don't know. I'll try and let that load. Maybe it won't. Okay, so some of the pro-natalist proposals that the White House is said to be considering include a baby bonus of $5,000, reserving 30% of Fulbright scholarships for applicants who are parents or who are at least married, and offering classes to women to help them identify the most fertile times in their menstrual cycle. Awesome. The thing about the Fulbright scholarships, so the Fulbright scholarship it's a very prestigious grant. And if they reserve 30% of these scholarships for applicants who are parents or who are at least married, this is going to hurt women, especially young women who are early in their careers, say like women who work in research in a field that is really not compatible with raising children, especially early on in their careers. And so if they want to succeed, if they want to, make a name for themselves, have a career, then they are choosing to not have children. And something like a Fulbright scholarship is really crucial for people like that to have the opportunity to study and, and do the kind of work they want to do. And now they want to take 30% of those scholarships and reserve them for people who are parents or who are at minimum married. Other proposals, meanwhile, seem aimed at changing cultural attitudes towards childbearing. A prime example of this is the idea of bestowing a special medal on mothers of 6 or more children. Wait a second. What show were we watching? Wait, wasn't it a Gordon Ramsay show? Who was the mother of 6? Who was the contestant who they just would refer to her as like mother of 6? Do you remember that? No. Elsie. Yes. Elsie, who was mother of 6. That was like what the Chiron would pop up and would say mother of 6 in Hell's Kitchen. Yes. So Elsie is a person who would potentially receive this special motherhood medal. This suggestion came from Malcolm and Somine Collins, a Pennsylvania couple who seem to have appointed themselves heads of the pro-natalist movement and were the belles of the ball at NatalCon. And you will meet them in this fucking video.
Is gaining steam.
So let me say very simply, I want more babies in the United States of America.
Well, it's led to
God. You know, I'll have a baby if how about this? If JD Vance eats his shit, I will consider having a baby. If he shits on a plate and then scoops it up and shoves it in his mouth, then I will consider having a child. I mean, literally eat his shit. Literally. Choose your words carefully. Oh, I am. I am choosing my words very carefully. There was something else I was going to say, but instead I have settled on if he literally eats his shit, if he does what he already does metaphorically and just spoons his fucking feces down his throat. He already fucked a couch, remember? It's not out of the question. That's why I'm saying I won't 100%. I will consider it though, okay?
to what's called the pro-natalist movement. And it's getting more popular because of messages from Vice President Vance and Elon Musk, who, of course, has at least 13 children with multiple women. At least. CNN's Mina Durson is out front at the 2025 Natal Conference because
Chad, a good book on this topic, if you're interested in this, is Mothers in the Fatherland by Claudia Coons. I feel like we'll see more of this stuff IRL soon, sadly.
Yes, there is a conference.
Raise your hand if you are a mom or a dad in the room here tonight. This is the war for civilization, and we are going to win it one life at a time.
We're here at NatalCon, which is a gathering of about 200 people from all over the world who have come here because they all feel very strongly that the world needs more babies.
There's a civilizational catastrophe coming, and the way to solve it is to have sex. Like, that's got to be the easiest pitch in history.
Birth rates around the world are plummeting, and they think this is the issue of our time.
It's a massive conversation, and that's why we're here.
No, it's actually not. Also, why do these children look like this? I'm sorry. I know it's not the kids' fault. They look like little cult babies. Do you know what I mean? They look...
We need to encourage more people to get married and have kids. We need those people to be the people of the future.
Many countries...
It's giving Children of the Corn, okay? It is. It's giving Children of the Corn. It's giving Children of the Corn.
Are no longer having enough kids to replace their populations. Some experts predict this will cause labor shortages and inflation, permanently changing the economy. The people most passionate about this call themselves pro-natalists.
Look at how many fucking men there are. Look at how many men there are at the pro-natalist conference. Ugh. Look at all these men being like, yeah, we're gonna have more sex so we can have more babies. Yeah, I love pregnant women. Yeah, I fucking love when women are pregnant. Yeah, it just gets me so fucking...
People are like, why are high fertility people always...
Wait, wasn't Colleen Ballinger's dad, didn't he have a pregnancy fetish? Do you think he's at this conference?
So weird.
Malcolm and Somine Collins have 4 kids, soon to be 5. And
Look at these fucking freaks. I hate them so much. I hate this. Look at her. She's doing like Handmaid's Tale cosplay. These Nazi freaks. They are the fucking worst. If you don't remember, because I have covered them in the past, if you don't remember, this is the couple where Malcolm, the father, slapped his child. Like, they abused their children. And they did so when they were being interviewed by a journalist. And the journalist was like, what the fuck? Like, the journalist was recording the conversation and captured on the recording him hitting his child. And then they wrote a piece on that. I think it was in The Guardian, I think. But yeah, he slapped his toddler in the middle of an interview. Yes. Oh my God. Remember? And oh my God. Remember they said that the criticism is racist? Oh, these people are the fucking worst. Okay, they said they were on a mission because they want to set the future of our species, blah, blah, blah. They've done several interviews, but in a recent interview the couple gave to The Guardian, journalist Jenny Kleeman described Malcolm Collins slapping one of his toddlers in public after the child knocked the table with his foot and caused it to teeter. This is a toddler, a baby who's just learning to walk. And they knocked into the table and Malcolm Collins slapped the toddler in the face. Immediately like a reflex, Malcolm hits him in the face. It's not a heavy blow, but it's a slap with the palm of his hand direct to his 2-year-old son's face that's firm enough for me to hear on my voice recorder when I play it back later. And Malcolm has done it in the middle of a public place in front of a journalist who he knows is recording everything. Then he said to his child, I love you, but you gotta be nice in restaurants. You're gonna get bopped if you do that. The incident went viral. The blah, 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 blah. The pro-natalist couple hits their children, one user said. Another said, Jesus Christ, the kid is 2. My kid is 2. The idea of hitting her has simply never occurred to me. If you know any 2-year-olds, it should be obvious how obviously nuts it is to do this. In an email to Business Insider, Somine Collins said that the toddler, who, yeah, by the way, they named their kids, of course, the worst fucking names. This kid was named Torsten Savage. Another one of their kids they named, Industry Americus. Industry Americus. Yeah, these are who these people are, okay? So Somine Collins said that the toddler was intentionally acting out and that tipping over a table with glassware on it could be deadly in a house with infants. God, yeah, their toddler was acting intentionally and not because they're a fucking toddler. Malcolm said that he and his wife choose to adopt the punishment specifically after observing animal parenting models. These people are psychopaths. Animal parenting models. Yeah, you know that some animals eat their young? I don't think that's a good thing to be doing. Modeling your parenting after animals. Like your child is not an animal. You fucking eugenicist freaks. Basically, across the nose is what we aim for, Malcolm Collins said. The reason I think it's better than a slap on the wrist is because it doesn't need to be painful to have the same impact. By that, what I mean is when somebody enters the space around your face, it's very shocking. Yeah, it's traumatizing as fuck. Especially if you're in an emotional loop, which is easy for kids to get into. It's very traumatizing. He adds, the only way you could achieve the same effect by hitting a child's wrist is to hit it large enough to cause a significant amount of pain, which I wouldn't want to do, but I can understand why visually people might be like, oh, the slight hit on the nose or the face is really bad because it looks visually bad. No, you fucking freak. It is bad. It is bad. I'm reminding you of who these people are because this is who is whispering, not whispering even, but like has the ear of Donald Trump and is formulating the policies for pro-birth, a pro-birth agenda in this country. That's who these people are. They are the founders of a pro-birth organization, and they are directly influencing the current administration. They're the ones who are suggesting the Nazi Mother Medal of Honor. Okay, and then this is the part that's like, oh my God. Both Simon and Malcolm Collins, Simone and Malcolm Collins, who are white, said they found the backlash that they received on social media to be racist, arguing that minorities often hit their children without facing the same backlash. We're kind of shocked by the racism threaded throughout this recent controversy. It's pretty well documented that African Americans and other minority groups practice corporal punishment much more than other groups. Malcolm said that the criticism was uniquely offensive to him, considering the majority of Americans practice some form of corporal punishment, as you can see from the statistics, with specifically that being the minority groups of Americans. He added, so yeah, I think it's an arguably racist position. Insane. And just remember that if people treat their children like this in public, when they're giving an interview to a journalist who is recording the conversation, imagine how they act in private. Imagine. Yeah. Everyone was being very racist to the Collins when they were outraged at them at Malcolm slapping their toddler in the face.
Some of the loudest advocates for pronatalism.
What we've seen is pronatalism and demographic collapse have become the global warming of the right. Some of the first people who really recognize the scale of the problem are major players in the White House right now, you know, like J.D. Vance and Elon Musk.
The birth rate is very low.
Look at them! Look at them!
In almost every country. And unless that changes, civilization will disappear.
Elon Musk's fixation with population collapse has pushed pronatalism into the spotlight. His tweets about NatalCon helped double attendance for this year's event, where the tickets cost $1,000.
Yes, I spent all of my savings coming here, actually.
Do you want to have kids?
Yes.
You don't have kids?
No, not.
Also, I know we know, but this is about control, okay? All of this is about controlling women. This is about controlling society, okay? Because they don't give a fuck about the actual issues that children and that parents face in this country. They don't give a shit that we don't have paid family leave, that we don't have universal child care, that we are not taking measures to address the rising maternal mortality rate, especially with Black mothers. They don't give a fuck about making parenting easier, making it less of a burden for working class families, because that's not what they're about. They are not interested in making children a more affordable thing to have in this country, or making children healthier, or taking care of children or their families whatsoever. This is about control. This is about dictating what American society looks like. And that is not LGBTQ couples. That is not trans children. That is not women being allowed to have autonomy over their bodies, choosing to have a child or not have a child. It's taking freedom from people to live their lives as they wish to. And it is also only increasing the burdens upon those who do have children.
How many do you want to have?
There's also the darker side of this freak-ass pro-natalist movement in eugenics, where we get to dictating who shouldn't have kids, which can lead to forced sterilization, which also went hand in hand with this birth praise in Nazi Germany. Yes. Do you think Elon Musk is a person who thinks that everyone should have a child? No, not at all. Elon Musk is a person who thinks that people like him should have more children, that he believes that he is serving a higher purpose by repopulating the planet with his fucking seed.
Well, minimum 5. I want to have my first at 22, and then I want to have
you gotta get on that.
Yeah, I know.
Organizers said they heard a lot of interest in matchmaking, so they gave yellow wristbands to singles to help them find each other.
You have a yellow wristband.
Yes.
So you're
you're
open to mingling.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Have you met anybody good?
I'm not sure if you can tell.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of lads here. There's not that many ladies.
The speakers are largely dry.
No shit. Yeah, no fucking shit, you freak. He said, well, he's talking about how he's single and they have these yellow wristbands to help singles meet each other and then immediately have babies. And he said there's a lot of lads here, not a lot of ladies. Isn't that interesting? There's more men. There's more men, both single and not single, at this pro-natalist conference. People who are in support of controlling women's bodies, who are repressive, who want to oppress women. Oh, yeah, where the vibes are completely fucked. You're surprised that more men are there and not more single women? Man, I can't believe that I'm having a hard time finding single ladies at this conference where a lot of men are getting up and talking about controlling women's bodies. Didn't he also say he spent his savings to come to the con? Yeah, it's fucked. Like, oh, God. Rancid vibes. Rancid. Yeah, that guy who spent all his money to come to this conference in the hope of meeting a nice young woman who would give him 12 children. Grody.
Economist types focused on tweaks.
I paid $1,000 to impregnate a woman and there's none here. I want my money back.
To boost birth rates, from tax credits to housing. But politically, the vibe is firmly right-wing.
The marginal people need to go back to the margins.
We want to raise families. The left is raising pride flags over cat shelters.
In 2024 actually did have a slight uptick.
Yeah, I love this idea that people on the left are hostile to kids, right? That like there's this hostility towards children if you're on the left, when in actuality, it's people on the left who believe in policies that are good for children, that are good for families. Yeah, who believe in not only the freedom to dictate your life how you see fit, but to put policies in place that will make it easier for those who choose to have children. Like, what? Should we all be saying the children belong in the mind? Like, is it because we don't support child labor? Because we're not supporting forced birth? Yeah, no, we're all just obsessed. We hate children and we just... I mean, we do love cats, but... Yeah, because we don't support child marriage. We want free childcare. If you have free childcare, guess what? People may choose to have more children. Yeah. No, it's insane. It's absolute insanity to pretend as if the evil left are evil to children, that we hate children, when in actuality, we want children to be safe. We want children to be cared for. We want children to be allowed to be who they are. We don't want to oppress children. We don't want to oppress the people who are having children, who are raising children. Caring about children after birth is woke and soy. Yeah, it's really soy to care about a child after it's born. The evil left wants to end childhood hunger. Yeah, the evil left wants there to be universal childcare. Doesn't want children to not be able to have lunch at school. Doesn't want children to not be able to go to school. Doesn't want children to be like threatened by Homeland when they're at school. The evil left. Yeah, we're raising and we want pride flags over cat shelters. Yes, and we want the cats to be gay. This goes hand in hand with the numerous instances of right-wingers disguising themselves as liberals in order to trap liberal women on dating apps. Think Ballerina Farms and others. They're all freaks, man. That's what they are. They're just freaks. You know, it's simple as that. They're fucking weirdos. They're freak-ass weirdos.
Births. Bad news. It was just the anchor babies from the illegal immigrants.
It's pretty difficult to draw a neat, tidy circle around everybody here. The far right or the extreme right, like, we would like to have more babies, but we would like to have more of our babies. On the other end, people like, more babies are always good, whether it's babies or immigrants. And the other axis, you know, trad Catholics, Mormons, and then like a kind of tech bro or tech futurist genetic selection of embryos, trying to refine the quality
Our
of the
babies is
that are born.
disgusting.
Because the Collinses are building...
No, it's all like eugenics, like ultra nationalist, right wing, Christian fascist bullshit. Our babies. It's so gross.
Their family through IVF, using experimental testing to rank embryos for traits from health risks to intelligence. They get one of the biggest criticisms of pronatalism, that it's code for eugenics.
Eugenics is when you say, these are good traits, these are bad traits.
This is just people choosing among their own embryos. We're not talking about sterilizing people or all the classic problems that are out there with eugenics.
Ahead of the conference, press coverage called out some speakers as...
Okay. These two. First of all, they're full of shit. Okay, look at them. They're cosplaying Handmaid's Tale. All right. And that's the thing about this, right? It's not about everyone have more babies. No. It's certain people having specific kinds of babies, genetically selected humans. That's what Simone refers to this future of more babies as. And this is how they have had, so their own IVF generated embryos, they scan their IVF generated embryos before their pregnancies so that they can select for features like high IQ. They are explicitly eugenicist, and they have they refer to themselves as like elites. They do. Like, they are very proud of it. They brag about it. They brag about their genetic superiority. Why do you think they do the German cosplay? Like, why do you think that they have such a fetish? They have such a fetish for dressing up as Germans and like pushing these ideas that come from Nazi Germany, like the motherhood medal.
Race science promoters and eugenicists, and students accuse the event.
These two get articles written about them every 6 months. Yes, because they are very dominant in the pro-birth movement, in the pro-natalism movement, and they're so at the forefront of it that they are directly working with the Trump administration. Anything that you hear in the coming, like what already Trump has announced and what they continue to announce, this is coming from people not just like the Collins, but the Collins themselves.
Of hosting Nazis, a criticism organizer Kevin Dolan. Ahead of the conference, press coverage called out some speakers as race science promoters and eugenicists, and students accused the event of hosting Nazis. A criticism organizer Kevin Dolan dismissed.
You can't be governed by people calling you names. I think that
Listen, some people use the word Nazi. We just like to use, you know, we there's things that we have in common, but that word is so, I mean, it's what even is a Nazi, you know? Not Z. Not Z. Yes, Z.
these ideas, they're not going to come from people who don't want to hurt any feelings.
Do you feel like there's a risk of alienating people with the kind of speakers you've selected and that tenor?
Of course.
And is that a risk for the larger cause?
I mean, yeah, some of those people are polarizing. They're my friends. And you know, I'm not going to chuck them under the bus.
We can't let the right own things that are that fundamental.
Paul Constance was the only liberal we met.
Did he just say some of those Nazis are my friends? I'm not going to throw them under the bus. Look, I know that people freak out when people start spewing Nazi rhetoric and ideals, but come on. They're my friends. What do you want me to do? What, am I supposed to not have them get up on stage and speak? Not have them be a part of the movement? Not have them be saying the things that I absolutely agree with?
The whole weekend.
I'm here because I think it's a really big topic, and progressives need to be in the conversation.
Why is this such a big deal to you?
So I have kids in their 20s. Young people today feel very hesitant or unable to form families. It's very easy to talk about cat ladies and to imply that people on the left don't care about kids. It's much harder to actually put forward policies that would make everyone of any political stripe be more inclined to form a family.
I think that one of the things that often gets skipped over in any discussion of natalism today is kind of the actual lives of women who make decisions about whether or not to bring a child into the world. Don't forget about the ladies. Don't forget about the people who have the babies.
No. We're simply vessels. We are reproductive vessels. That is our worth. Our worth is just to have semen put inside of us and form an embryo and then have a child. We are nothing more than our uterus. That is why we were created. That is why we are here on this planet. We are baby vessels. We are womb warriors. We are birthing vessels. We are baby vending machines. We are cum dumpsters. We are cumsters. That's right. We are vehicles for Elon Musk to operate however he sees fit. We are his Tesla.
And I think you can see that crowd is pretty homogenous, very white, largely male. We heard many of the speakers had to drop out because they were pregnant. So lost a lot of women that way. A lot of men told us they were there repping their wives because, when you have a big family like that, you can't travel to a conference. It becomes very expensive and someone has to do that childcare. So I think this lack of diversity kind of shows that
someone's got to do the childcare. We're all looking for the one who's got to do the childcare. Oh, that's right. It's women. Right. No, it's not someone has to do the childcare. It's the woman has to do the childcare. How about the irony in that these women couldn't even speak at the pro-natalist conference because they're pregnant or because they had to care for the 18,000 children at home. They can't even go speak at this conference to advocate for having babies because they're too busy with one on each tit because they're pregnant and so they couldn't do it. Oh no, so it's got to be the men who are speaking at the conference. They are representing the women. You know, if my mom had had one more baby, she could have gotten the Motherhood Medal of Honor. My parents stopped at 5 if they had had 6. Have you seen the article about Ballerina Farm? Yeah, I read that on stream when it came out.
This is a self-selecting group. You know, this message is kind of staying within these bubbles for now. And while these people are quite panicked about this, you know, a lot of experts we spoke to for this piece said collapse is really a little overblown.
Yeah, it is amazing though watching. I mean, it's such an incredible report, but it did stand out so many white men. I mean, that's who was represented there.
Fork found in kitchen. White men at the pro-natalist conference? I'm shocked.